morning, everybody. Good morning. I think the microphone doesn't work, right?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. It's my big pleasure to welcome you all here at a very special occasion. First of all, I hope you had a safe travel to Budapest, this beautiful city. Second, I hope you don't feel too hot, but we have hot news as well. As you know, the most important motorcycle we have in our lineup are our CVOs, Street Glide and Road Glide. And today, we are so thrilled to introduce to you the new CVO Street Glide and the new CVO Road Glide, the European premiere. And I don't want to be the one presenting these two amazing pieces of engineering to you, because I said, well, it would be much better to have somebody from Milwaukee doing that for you. And we have from the product engineering department in Milwaukee, and please welcome him, Matt Van Dyke. Matt, good morning.
So, hi, I'm Matt Van Dyke, all the way from Milwaukee. Really excited to be here at this great event to talk about the new 2023 CVO Street Glide and Road Glide. These models have been designed from the ground up to advance every aspect of the Grand American Touring experience. There's far more stuff that we can get into in just this conversation, but kind of the key highlights, obviously starting with the Milwaukee 8 ADT 121. There are four key things that we're accomplishing with these bikes. There's a dramatic new design language, dynamic performance, enhanced rider comfort, and some groundbreaking technology. So that kind of breaks the multitude of elements of a few key spaces. One of the things that you'll notice first is that there's a very purposeful, sorry, it's early yet for me. Just a very purposeful, very taut kind of refinement of all the surfaces. So starting with the Street Glide, you'll see the traditional batwing fairing, but it's been made faster. It's been, the windshield has been elevated and integrated the new slipstream vent into it. You'll see the LED forward lighting now has an omega-shaped running lamp that tapers off into the whisker lights on the sides, which also house the turn signals. So it cleans up the entire front of the bike, removes the separate turn signals there. On the Road Glide, the change is almost more dramatic, where we have the traditional shark nose type fairing, much more aggressive. Obviously, new lighting element, it holds the traditional multi-element oval type shape, but brings a new presence and has the new sort of W-shaped daytime running lamp, which also incorporates the turn signals on the side. In both cases, it's not just a stylistic element, right? These shapes, these forms have not only been formed by customer research, but also by the wind tunnel, by computational fluid dynamics, by miles on the test tracks. So one of the strongest purposes of these new fairings is really reduced head buffeting and more rider comfort. So with the slipstream vent, I'm sorry, that is a tongue twister, even for me, the rider can adapt the wind reaching them to optimize that for them. There are also different windshields available, so we'll have 3 different sizes from P&A. Moving backward, you'll see a strong horizontal line through the bikes. The fuel tank has been elevated at the rear, it's more sculpted on the sides, still holds 6 gallons of fuel, but now also has a flip-up fuel cap, So your stops will be faster, and no one has to worry about leaving their fuel cap behind when they're getting gas. The seat has been completely reshaped and restructured. The ergonomics have been a tremendously important part of that. It sort of changes the rider's posture so that they're more upright. It helps reduce fatigue, so they can spend longer time in the saddle. Below that, the new side covers. They're a new bisecting design. So there's a split in colors. They look visually lighter. And then that horizontal line carries back into the saddlebags, which are actually 5% larger than the previous generation ones. So holistically, it's a very different looking bike, but it's very familiar forms. And speaking overall of the whole bike, a really important thing has been a weight reduction. Every piece of these bikes, as we touch them, has undergone just tremendous scrutiny to remove every gram. So everything from lighter sheet metal in the fuel tank to 7 pounds out of the triple clamps, there's been a tremendous focus on weight. The Road Glide is down 15.8 kilograms. The Street Glide is down about 14 kilograms from the previous generation. And you're going to feel that in the acceleration, in the braking, in the handling. The focus has been made to move that weight lower in the bike wherever possible, so it's lighter to lift off the side stand, it's quicker, and it handles better. So that's the type of benefits that really go across the board. As we move into the dynamic performance part, it's not just the Milwaukee 8 VVT 121, it's every aspect of stopping, going, and handling. So the engine itself, huge improvements there. It is 9.5% more horsepower, so that's 115 horsepower compared to a 117 in the previous generation, which would be 86 kilowatts, and 8% more torque, so we're up to 139 foot-pounds or 189 newton meters, which is really noticeable, right? You know, we're talking 8 to 9%. That is something you will feel at the seat of your pants every time you get on these bikes. How we accomplished that: completely redesigned heads, cylinders, pistons, higher compression ratio, new intake tract, which is shorter and larger diameter, new fuel injectors, capped off by a new airbox, which is 50% larger, but also provides better clearance to the rider's knee than the previous generation heavy breathers. That airbox is lighter and it's quieter, which is an important thing, because there's only so much noise that a bike can make. As we remove noise from the intake, we can make more of it at the exhaust, which is what people want to hear. The new exhaust is updated 4.5-inch diameter mufflers as opposed to 4-inch, so they've been really expertly tuned for sound and sound quality. There's only so much volume we can make, but we really put an effort in trying to get the most out of the budget that was available there. Going back to the heads real quickly, there's a new cooling path, right? So the cooling system has been refined. There's more, these are water cooled now as opposed to being oil cooled. So the new cooling path starts at the rear head, pulls the heat away from the rider first, from that head that is shrouded from the air movement. And then the coolant cools the front head, and that goes down to the new heat exchanger, the radiator down in the front, which at lower speeds, the hot air moves down below the bike instead of coming around and potentially reaching the riders and passengers. So that is both a comfort and a performance benefit there. Obviously VVT, so variable valve timing. Anyone that's familiar with our Revolution Max engines should have probably heard that along the way. What that allows us to do is change the phasing of the camshaft relative to the crankshaft. Just got louder, sorry. And that allows us to get optimum horsepower and torque and fuel economy throughout the rev range depending on riding conditions. So not only are these engines more powerful, they're also getting 3 to 5% better fuel economy than the previous generation 117s. Other than that, we have 20% more charging output and easier neutral finding, which is one of those little things that you'll appreciate every time you go for a ride. When we talk about going, we should also talk about stopping. So the brake system has been significantly upgraded. We've gone from 300 millimeter discs up to 320 millimeter. We now have radial mounted Brembo brakes, which is a lovely upgrade. So you have more confidence, you have better feel, and even the brake levers are adjustable for position. So varying hand sizes will find it easier to use. While we're talking about brakes and the lower end of the bike, front wheel on the Road Glide has gone from a 21-inch in the previous generation, which was great for style, great for profiling. It's now 19 inches, so better handling, quicker, better in those twisty roads that are much more abundant over here than in the United States. We also have inverted forks in the front, so 47 millimeter inverted forks, stiffer, better feel for the road, better, I guess, road inputs transmitted to the rider. So, and then suspension in the rear, we have 50% more travel. So the shocks are 76 millimeters to travel in the back. So that not only absorbs the bumps better, but also handles the road better. So once again, the focus on dynamic performance. We have power, we have braking, we have handling. The shocks themselves are pretty interesting too, as you can see up close. The preload adjust has been adapted, so there's sort of a large scale adjust on the right side that you take the bag off for. But on the left side, there's a hydraulic preload adjust that you can hand change. So there's about 100 pounds of adjustment that you can make on the side without ever taking the bags off. They're also adjustable for rebound damping. So there's dial adjusters on the bottoms of each of these. And then I believe we're moving to rider comfort, which is a great thing. I mentioned the seat, right? We have new seat material, we have new seat cushion, and it also changes the rider's posture, right? So it rotates the rider's hips a bit so they're sitting more upright, you don't slouch as much, so you can spend more time comfortably in the saddle. On the Road Glide, most notably, we have a new handlebar. It is both wider and flatter and more easily adjustable. So we have about 26 degrees of adjustment on here because we don't have the instrument cluster on anymore. So that allows the rider to sort of get it to the position that's going to work for them more easily. And let's see. One thing I did miss along the way, now that we're up with the handlebars, both of these bikes feature our adversary accessory collection. So handle grips, pegs, floorboards. On the Whiskey Neat and Raven Metallic bike, they have orange accents. On the Dark Platinum, they have machined bare aluminum accents. The paint differences on these are pretty striking. Both vehicles are available in both colors, so we just happen to have one of each here because these are the only ones, on the entire continent at the moment. The Dark Platinum has smoked chrome on the pushrod tubes, exhaust, and lower rocker boxes. The Whiskey Neat paint job also has Whiskey Neat accents on the lower rocker boxes. This is a pretty striking paint job, so this is a premium option. All of the airbrushing that you see, all of the pinstripes are hand applied. This paint job takes about 10 days to create. So this is, definitely a more striking, more, unique option. Something that really, it's hard to appreciate in the pictures. So it's great to have all of you here today to kind of see it in person. And then sort of the last key thing, and really something that people are going to notice from the start, is the new infotainment system powered by the HARLEY-DAVIDSON Skyline OS. So it is a big, bright, color TFT screen, 12.3 inches across, or 312 millimeters. The biggest thing that people will notice is it replaces the analog gauges. So there's no longer speedometer and tachometer on there. You have 3 different layouts, how you can show your key information for the vehicle, as well as navigation, as well as Apple CarPlay. So everything is sort of right there in front of you. It's one of those changes that took a lot of consideration on our part. We like to hold on to tradition. We like to stay with what people are familiar with. But we did a lot of research and we talked to people, and as they become more comfortable with sitting in front of a computer or using a phone every day, as automotive is moving to screens, we felt that this was the right time to sort of provide a premium option for Harley-Davidson in this space. But also using that flexibility. So as you can see, as we kind of get up there in person, you can keep a look or an arrangement of the instruments that is more familiar with having the speedometer and tach side by side, or you can use almost the entire space for navigation, because that's, obviously being touring bikes, that's a huge priority there. We do have Apple CarPlay on the bikes. It's wireless now, so we have a Wi-Fi connection with the infotainment. So we have wireless Apple CarPlay. And when your phone is connected, you also get automatic map updates with the onboard navigation, and you can have weather and traffic overlays on the navigation, which is a huge benefit. In the storage compartments on the sides, which you'll see in person, the Road Glides flip open automatically. There's charging in there, much bigger than before, so we can hold any size modern phone. The Street Glide's even more impressive. It has a tray that slides out that holds any size modern phone as well. So huge improvements there. Other key items about the infotainment system, I guess the speakers are kind of the last key thing to speak to. So these have the Harley-Davidson audio powered by Rocket Fosgate Stage 2 speakers. So 6.5 inch in the fairing, 5x7 inch in the saddlebags. They've got a 500 watt 4-channel amplifier that powers all of them. For the customers that want even more sound, the stage 3 speakers are a direct drop-in into the saddlebag lids. So that's a 6x9 inch Markman Fosgate speaker. So considerably more output, but works with the stock saddlebag lids as well as the stock amplifier. I'm sure I've missed a few things, but that is most of the details along here. So key messages, obviously, dramatic new styling, dynamic performance, which is more than just an engine, enhanced rider comfort, and backgrade infotainment system, which I'm sure we'll all enjoy tinkering with soon. So, we'll come back with call you. Questions?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, Matt. I think, yeah, thank you. I probably think Matt could have continued for a couple of, or probably 10 or 15 or 20 minutes longer. You will realize, and you have probably realized already, this is not just a slight modification, this is a all-new CVO lineup. It is an amazing moment. It's a historic moment, not only that we are celebrating 120 years, but that we have this opportunity to have those bikes here and to show them to you in this little press reveal. And thank you very much, Matt. I have with me as well Gavin Cupid from my European headquarters, the technical service department. And what I would like to summarize is, you have realized it's all new, but you probably have as well realized it is all American Harley-Davidson icon, but made for Europe. It is all those changes helping the European CVO customer to have a much different, much better, super agile bike. And I'm happy to say that because now finally I can share the secret. I was lucky enough last year already, same time this year, to ride those bikes, and I can confirm it is completely different, so much better than it was already. Excellent, but now it is just brilliant. And I can't wait to have those bikes in Europe, and potentially there's still some questions concerning the technology, and we are happy to answer your questions. Yeah.
Please.
I have a question.
We have a mic.
Hi. I have a question to the cooling system. The engine is liquid cooled, but there are also the cylinders in the traditional way. Can you tell us which percentage of the cooling capacity is made by liquid and which is by air?
I would say that's a difficult question to give you an exact percentage of it. You're right that the majority of the cooling is still air-cooled flowing across. The focus of the liquid cooling is primarily just on the exhaust valves. So it's really the hottest part of the cylinder heads. We're pulling the most heat out of the very hottest part to make sure that we can preserve performance as well as rider comfort. So it's very difficult to get down to the precise because we've never really run just with the liquid cooling or just with the air cooling. It's a balance. We only really apply the liquid cooling where it's most beneficial to the design.
So it's a kind of precision cooling.
Yes, it is absolutely precision cooling. That's a phrase we've used in the past. So, thank you.
Next question, please.
Yes, hello. Just a short question about the DVT. Is it only on the emission or both ways?
If I'm understanding your question correctly, that's correct. So there's one cam, so it works on both intake and exhaust.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So yeah, yes. So with the one cam, we have one phaser, which is actually really nicely visible in this cutaway that we can look at. So it is not able to phase the intake and the exhaust separately like you would on a dual overhead cam or the Rev Max. But it does a great job. So that's where we get that broad spread of torque as well as good horsepower and 3 to 5% better fuel time.
Are there further questions? Yes, please.
I understood that you got some benefits from the Revolution Max engine. I didn't understand exactly which components it were. Was it the ignition or what comes? Are there other apart from the Revolution Max engine built in this engine?
It's not a direct part carryover from the Revolution Max, but the Revolution Max was the first place we used the VVT, the variable valve technology. So folks that are familiar with the benefits that brings, like the previous question about whether it's intake or exhaust or both, this is the first time we've used VVT on a big twin engine. So that technology has carried over. The hardware is different, but the idea that you can change the cam timing relative to the crank position is something we haven't done before. So it's a great piece of technology that gives us that flexibility on this new version of the Milwaukee 8.
And also, I've always read the subject that these bikes are limited editions, but I don't have an exact number of limitation. Is there an exact number?
Yeah, I mean, let me answer that question this way, Ron. I mean, this is the most precious piece of equipment which we have. So it's automatically limited because it's a very high-end lineup version. And then the other limitation, of course, comes from ramping up production for this year. And of course, as well, making sure that timing is perfect. As you can imagine, we are in the process of homologating for the European and Middle East and African markets as quick as we can. And then this already gives a certain amount of limitation for this year. I'm not able to give you a precise number. However, we will not decline any pre-order. We are super happy whenever somebody wants to pre-order a CVO now. We are creating enormous interest already here, which we can see in Budapest and as well in social media. So it's really something where we will not refuse any sale, but we want to make sure that we are making sure that we can launch in perfect quality as soon as we can, still this year.
Really invite everyone to take a look at the engine we have up here on the stand. It's been cut away, machined, so you can really get a good idea of the Coolant Gallery in the RIS in there for the interlaces with the valves for the cooling, and as Matt said, for the VVT and everything. So it's a great way to see what's going on inside the engine.
So I think we will be still around. If you have further questions, of course, happy to talk you through. And again, thank you for being with us. And I know you will be super eager now to get your hands on the bike. Please sit on the bikes, touch it, try it. And if you have any questions, please talk to either Matt, Gavin, or myself, or anybody of my team. Thank you very much and have a great day. Thank you for being with us.